The Sunday dinner table was set with Mom's good china. I'd driven 3 hours to be there, rehearsing the news in my head the entire way. Senior architect. At 20, the youngest in my firm's history. I have some news, I said, setting down my fork. My heart hammered against my ribs. I got promoted to senior architect. It's a really big deal at the firm. Jessica, show everyone the new glaze technique you learned, Mom interrupted, turning to my sister with bright eyes. Jessica beamed, pulling out her phone. So, there's this woman on YouTube who does these amazing ombre effects, Mom. I tried again. Michael, pass the potatoes, Dad said, not looking up from his plate. I sat there, fork suspended in midair, the words dying in my throat. Around me, the conversation flowed like I hadn't spoken at all. Jessica's pottery, Michael's college applications, Aunt Linda's cruise. The new neighborhoods. Not one person asked about my promotion. I pushed food around my plate, that familiar hollow feeling settling in my chest. The same feeling I'd had at 16 when I won the state architecture competition, and Dad said, "That's nice," before turning back to Jessica's soccer game recap. The same feeling at my college graduation when they arrived an hour late and left during the reception because Jessica had a pottery class. "You're so quiet, Emma," Mom said eventually, as if noticing me for the first time. "Is something wrong?" "No," I said. "Nothing's wrong." After dinner, I helped clear the table while everyone gathered in the living room to admire Jessica's latest ceramic collection. 23 pieces, each one receiving detailed commentary and praise. "You don't need to do the dishes," Mom said, not looking at me. "Go spend time with your sister." I drove home alone, my phone silent. No congratulations texts, no follow-up questions. Nothing. The memory that surfaced was from my 10th birthday. I'd spent weeks planning what I'd say when I opened presents, practicing my surprised face in the mirror. But that morning, Jessica, 8 years old, announced she wanted a kitten. The entire day became about visiting shelters, researching cat care, kitten-proofing the house. My birthday cake was served as an afterthought at 9 p.m. No one sang. "It's Jessica's special day too," Mom had said when I cried. "Don't be selfish, Emma." I learned early, my achievements were background noise. Jessica's wants were main events. Over the next 3 years, I stopped trying. Stopped calling with updates. Stopped driving the 3 hours for Sunday dinners. Stopped waiting for them to notice. 2.5 years later, I stood in the living room of my downtown loft, late afternoon sun, streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. The exposed brick walls glowed amber. My custom bookshelves held architecture books and design awards. The view stretched across the city sky, line 23rd floor. Corner unit, $1.1 million. I'd bought it 6 months ago. Cash offer, 30-day close. My family had no idea. "This space is incredible," Marco said, setting 2 cappuccinos on my marble coffee table. My mentor and the firm's founding partner, he'd been the one to recommend me for senior architect. "You've really made it your own." "Thanks for meeting here," I said. The office felt too formal for this conversation. Marco had become more than a mentor over the past 3 years. He'd attended my licensing celebration when my family couldn't make it. He'd written the recommendation that secured my promotion. He'd taught me that professional family could matter more than biological family. "You wanted to discuss the Singapore project?" he asked. "I'm ready to lead it." I pulled out my portfolio. "I know it's a $35 million development, but I've prepared." Emma. Marco smiled. "I already told the client you're heading the team. I'm asking if you're ready to present next month." My phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. "Mom." I declined the call. She'd called twice in 2 years, once asking if I could loan Jessica money for a pottery kill, once wondering if I was still doing that architecture thing. "Family?" Marco asked, noticing my expression. "Technically." I set the phone face down. "They don't really know what I do. Or where I live, or that I exist. Mostly. Their loss," Marco said simply. "You've built something remarkable here, Emma. This loft, your career, your life. You did that without them." My phone buzzed again. A text this time. "Primera, ignore the Italiano." The loft represented everything I'd built alone. Every overtime hour. Every weekend spent drafting while Jessica posted pottery videos. Every promotion celebrated with colleagues instead of family. The mortgage payment was $6,200 monthly, less than a quarter of my salary. I'd furnished it carefully. Mid-century modern sofa, $4,800. Herman Miller desk, chair on $4, $5 custom kitchen renovation, $38,000. I'd also been sending money home. Not that they asked directly. Mom would mention Jessica's studio rent was challenging or Dad needed help with property taxes. I'd stopped 6 months ago. None of them noticed. "You're coming to the firm dinner Friday?" Marco asked. "Bringing anyone?" "My partner, Alex. He's a public defender. We met at a building code hearing. Long story. Bring him by the office sometime. Anyone who supports you deserves to meet the team." After Marco left, I stood at my window watching the city lights flicker on. My phone showed 3 missed calls from Mom now. 7 texts in the family group chat I'd muted a year ago. Something about Jessica's pottery studio expansion. I didn't open them. I'd learned to protect my peace. My cousin Rachel posted the photo on a Tuesday afternoon. I was in a client meeting when my phone started exploding. Buzz, buzz, buzz. I silenced it, but the notifications kept coming. When I finally checked during break, I saw it. Rachel had tagged me in an Instagram post from my housewarming party 3 weeks ago. The photo showed my living room, the brick wall, the skyline view, the custom shelves, my Eames lounge chair. Caption: my brilliant cousin Emma's new place. Goals: #loft living, #architect life, #city views. It had 340 likes, including several from my family members. My stomach dropped. The texts started within 2 hours. Mom, 2:47 p.m. Emma. Just saw Rachel's post. Your place looks amazing. Why didn't you tell us? Jessica, 2:52 p.m. Oh my God, Em, your apartment is gorgeous. We should catch up soon. Dad, 3:15 p.m. Impressive place. Must have cost a pretty penny. Call your mother. Aunt Linda, 3:23 p.m. So proud of you, sweetie. Mom, 3:31 p.m. I'm calling you. I didn't answer. The calls came anyway. Mom, Dad, Jessica, Uncle Tom. 12 calls in 3 hours. The family group chat, silent for months, suddenly exploded with activity. Michael. Dude, that loft is sick. Jessica. Emma, you have to give me a tour. Mom. We're all so proud of you, honey. I always knew you'd do well. I stared at that last message. Always knew. She hadn't asked about my job in 2 years. By Wednesday morning, the messages escalated. Mom, 8:15 a.m. Emma, please call me back. We need to talk about something important. Jessica, 9:47 a.m. Hey sis, Mom's trying to reach you. It's kind of urgent. Mom, 11:03 a.m. This is about family. Emma. I didn't want to do this over text. I was reviewing blueprints when the next text came through. Mom, 2:34 p.m. Your sister's pottery studio is in trouble. The landlord raised her rent and she owes back payments. She needs $45,000 by Friday or she loses everything. Since you got that raise and have that beautiful place, we thought you could help. This is what family does. There it was, 48 hours from discovery to demand, $45,000. By Friday, I set my phone down and returned to my blueprints. The pattern was so predictable it was almost boring. Thursday morning, Tay so wed up. I was working from home when my building's front desk called. Ms. Chun, you have visitors. Your parents and sister. I hadn't given them my address. Send them up, I said. Might as well get this over with. Mom arrived holding a store-bought cake. Dad carried a gift bag. Jessica had tears in her eyes. Surprise, Mom said, pushing past me into the loft. We wanted to see your place in person. It's even more beautiful than the photos. They'd never surprised me before. Not for birthdays, graduations, promotions. Nothing. Your sister made you something, Mom continued. gesturing to Jessica. Jessica pulled out a ceramic bowl, handmade, glazed in blues and greens. For your housewarming, I'm so sorry we missed the party. You weren't invited? I said quietly. Emma, don't be like that. Dad set the gift bag on my counter, a bottle of wine I didn't drink. We're here now. This is quite a place. Must be what? $900,000? Something like that. Mom settled onto my sofa like she belonged there. We saw Rachel's post and just felt terrible that we didn't know about this amazing achievement. You should have told us. I did, I said. 2.5 years ago. At Sunday dinner, no one listened. Oh, honey. We always listen. I announced my promotion to senior architect, and you asked Jessica to show everyone her pottery glaze. Silence. Well, Mom recovered quickly. That was a long time ago. We're here now. And we're so proud, which is actually why we came. Your sister needs help. Here it came. Jessica launched into her story. The pottery studio she'd opened 18 months ago was struggling. Rent had doubled. If I lose the studio, I lose everything, Jessica said, tears streaming. All my work, my dream, everything. You have this incredible place, Mom added. You're clearly doing so well. You could sell it, or get a loan against it. You don't need 2 bedrooms. This is a 1-bedroom, I said. Exactly. So much space for one person. Mom leaned forward. Emma, this is your sister. This is what family does. We help each other. Where was family when I graduated college? I asked. When I won the state architecture competition? When I got my license? When I made senior architect? That's different. When's my birthday, Mom? She blinked. What? My birthday? What day is it? Silence stretched. Jessica looked at her hands. Dad studied my bookshelf. April, Mom finally said. April something. March 17th. I turned 29, 3 months ago. You sent a group text at 11 p.m. Emma, we're not here to discuss ancient history, Dad interjected. Your sister needs help. You have the means to provide it. After everything we've done for you, what did you do for me? We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. That's called basic parenting. You're supposed to do that. Mom's expression shifted, warmth draining into something colder. Success has made you cruel. No, I said. Boundaries have made me healthy. Friday afternoon, I met them at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral territory, security cameras, witnesses. Marco had offered to come, but I needed to do this alone. They arrived with documents. Jessica had printed financial statements, lease agreements, a payment plan she'd drawn up. Mom had talking points on her phone. We've worked out how you can help, Mom began, sliding papers across the table. If you take a home equity line for $50,000, I'm not giving you money, I said. Jessica's face crumpled. Emma, please. I've given you $34,000 over the past 3 years. Did you think I didn't keep track? Mom's eyes narrowed. That was different. Those were small amounts. $1,200 for Jessica's kill. $2,400 for Dad's property taxes. $800 for Michael's textbooks. $3,200 for the roof repair. Should I continue? Your family, Dad said. That's what family does. No. That's what I did. While you ignored every achievement, every milestone, every moment that mattered to me. And now that you've seen my loft, suddenly you remember I exist. We've always cared about you, Mom insisted. When's my birthday? She faltered. I already told you. You said April. It's March 17th. What do I do for work? You're an architect. What kind? What's my specialty? What project am I working on right now? Silence. Who's my partner? How long have we been together? What's his job? Nothing. You don't know me, I said. You never bothered to know me. I was invisible unless you needed money. Jessica spoke up, voice shaking. That's not fair. We've had our own struggles, and I had mine. Alone. You're being selfish? Mom said, her voice rising. Other patrons glanced over. Your sister is losing her dream, and you're resitting there in your expensive clothes with your expensive condo. I worked for everything I have. 80-hour weeks, night classes, certifications. While Jessica posted pottery videos, and you cheered her on. This is about jealousy, Dad concluded. You've always been jealous of your sister. Something in me snapped not into anger, but into absolute clarity. I'm done, I said. I'm not giving you money. I'm not selling my loft. I'm not taking out loans. Jessica's business failure is not my emergency. After everything we've done, Mom started. You did the legal minimum required of parents. That doesn't entitle you to my income. Jessica dissolved into sobs. I can't believe you're doing this. I'm your sister, and you've never once asked how I'm doing. Not once. Not in 10 years. You're so cold, Mom said. Success has made you cold. Boundaries aren't cold. They're necessary. Dad stood abruptly. Then, I guess we know where we stand. Don't bother coming home for holidays. I haven't been invited to holidays in 3 years. Because you always had work, Jessica shot back. I had work because no one cared if I was there. I gathered my things and stood. My hands didn't shake. My voice stayed level. I'd practiced this moment in therapy for 18 months. If you contact me again about money, I'll block your numbers. If you show up at my home uninvited, I'll call building security. If you harass my workplace, I'll pursue legal action. Boundaries aren't negotiable. You'll regret this, Mom said. I regret not doing it sooner. I walked out of the coffee shop into crisp autumn air. My phone buzzed immediately. Text from Alex. Alex, how'd it go? Me, I choose myself. Alex, proud of you. Dinner at your place tonight? I'll bring wine. Behind me, through the coffee shop window, I could see my family huddled together. Mom was already on her phone, probably calling relatives to spin the story. Let them. I'd spent 29 years seeking their approval. Primera, Goba ese dan. 10 months later, I stood in my loft watching the sunset paint the city in shades of amber and rose. The Singapore project had wrapped successfully. $35 million development, finished on time and under budget. Marco had promoted me to associate partner. My loft now held signs of the life I'd built. Alex's law books on my shelves, our shared coffee maker on the counter, photos from our Vancouver trip on the exposed brick wall. They're here, Alex called from the intercom. I buzzed up Marco and his wife, then my colleague David and his husband, then Rachel, the cousin, who'd posted that fateful photo and subsequently apologized profusely. I had no idea it would cause that drama. Rachel had said months ago, I just thought your place was beautiful. It needed to happen, I'd told her. Thank you. Now my living room filled with people who'd actually shown up for me. Marco brought champagne to celebrate my promotion. David brought homemade dumplings. Rachel brought a beautiful succulent arrangement, not pottery, pointedly. To Emma, Marco raised his glass. The best decision I ever made was hiring you. The second best was promoting you. To Emma, everyone echoed. My phone sat silent on the kitchen counter. I'd blocked my parents' numbers after the 50th text demanding I reconsider. Jessica had tried calling from unknown numbers until I'd changed my number entirely. The family group chat was long deleted. I'd heard through Rachel that Jessica's studio had closed. My parents had taken out a second mortgage to cover her debts, and now struggled with payments. They'd asked Rachel for my new number multiple times. She'd refused. Do you miss them? Alex asked later, when everyone had left and we stood together at the window. I miss the family I wanted them to be, I said, but I don't miss the family they actually were. That's healthy. Therapy helped. I'd been seeing Dr. Martinez for 20 months now. She'd taught me that grief for relationships that never existed was valid. That chosen family was real family, that I didn't owe anyone access to my life just because we shared DNA. Alex wrapped his arm around me. Your mom tried to contact my office yesterday. What? Claimed it was about a legal matter? My assistant figured out who she was and told her I don't discuss my personal life with strangers. He smiled. Then security escorted her out. I'm sorry, don't be. Boundaries aren't negotiable. Remember, you taught me that. The city lights flickered on, one by one, transforming the skyline into something magical. My home, my view, my peace. I'd built all of it. My phone buzzed a new message in the group chat Alex had created. Emma S's actual family. Marco had sent a photo from tonight's gathering, all of us laughing in my living room. Marco, same time next month, my place. David, we're in. Rachel, wouldn't miss it Alex. Countess and I typed back, perfect. This was family. People who showed up. People who celebrated achievements without needing prompting. People who asked how I was doing and actually listened to the answer. You okay? Alex asked, noticing my expression. Yeah, I said, meaning it completely. I'm better than okay. 3 years ago, I'd announced my promotion at a Sunday dinner and been ignored. 2.5 years ago, I'd stopped seeking their approval. 10 months ago, I'd finally set boundaries. Now, I stood in my $1.1 million loft with a partner who loved me, a mentor who believed in me, and friends who actually knew who I was. My parents couldn't name my birthday, but these people had thrown me a surprise party last March. Jessica had never asked about my work, but Marco called weekly to discuss projects. My family had needed photographic proof of my success to care. But Alex had supported me when I was a junior architect in a studio apartment. I'd spent years being invisible to the people who were supposed to see me first. Now I was surrounded by people who'd chosen to see me and I'd chosen them back. What are you thinking about? Alex asked. How? I spent so long waiting for the wrong people to notice me, I said, when the right people were here all along. He kissed my temple. Their loss. My gain. The city sparkled below us, full of possibility and light. Somewhere out there, my parents were probably still calling me selfish, still telling relatives I'd abandoned my sister, still failing to understand that you can't demand what you never cultivated. But here, in my beautiful loft with my chosen family, I finally understood. I didn't need them to see me. I'd learned to see myself. And that was enough.